it out. The Giroptic 360 cam arrived with a selfie stick, so that's going to make an awful racket. The charging cable is connected for the moment, and as far as I can tell, although Giroptic are not admitting that you can widescreen, it is possible by connecting over Wi-Fi. There is a live preview in the app, complete with audio with some rather severe lag. It's, I don't know, maybe 5-10 seconds. I don't know the quality of that, but the camera is also listed here as .osc on Wi-Fi, which, as far as I'm concerned, is most likely the open spherical camera standard, which is very good news. It indicates that Giroptic, as well as Recode with the Beta series, are cooperating with Google on making spherical video and photos properly tagged and the camera remote controllable. And I just missed the train, as you can see. Other details, one of the lenses is producing a drastically different cover, which is obviously a calibration issue. That should be fixed by stitching firmware, but possibly this camera needs a recalibration. I have not looked up how to do that. There are several features missing from the firmware still, including configuration profiles, the single lens action camera mode, and so on. Supposedly the audio might be in stereo, even though it should be 3-channel AAC, and it should also be capable of geotagging every second or so. It should do that for video as well, which is quite interesting. You can do it if you set the camera in time-lapse mode, for instance. You can get every single photo geotagged with the GPS data, which would be excellent for doing photogrammetric mapping. Though there is quite a bit of software missing for that sort of work. I mean, there's some good feature matching and position solving and such in Hugin, but it doesn't accept spherical input, which is a little bit surprising. Well, it's not designed for different perspectives. It's designed to do the sort of stitching that this camera actually already does. And 2028. Yeah, that's quite a wait. I have half an hour until the next train, so I will most likely not be recording all that time. You've probably noticed some problem with the audio gain. At least in the preview, it was peaking horribly if someone was speaking at this distance. But it also did not appear to have any gain settings, so it needs a lower or automatic gain for audio. Although the actual audio quality was decent. Of course, I have not yet tested it underwater, etc. But underwater audio is an entirely different kettle of fish in the first place. I did receive the extra covering lenses, just some plastic caps that fit over the front lenses to get the correct optics even underwater. Hopefully that actually works. What else? I got an extra battery, but that's probably part of the Kickstarter appreciation batch. And I was supposed to receive a charger for the batteries. That charger, I've seen it from someone else, does charge 2 batteries at a time, which is a nice feature, but it was missing in my package. It was listed on the packing list as not included in this shipment, so that should be why I got an incomplete shipment listed on Giroptic's site. The fact that Giroptic's site listed neither the shipment number nor what was missing from it, or in fact what was supposed to be in there, because that never hinted at the charger, is a little bit disappointing. So far, my experience with the camera, the color problem needs to be fixed. The stitching, it's not very impressive, but on the other hand, I don't know how much you could expect from a battery-operated device running all that stitching in real time at 30 FPS. You probably got a glimpse of the sun there, which would most likely make the capture horrible. Obviously, when dealing with spherical video, and it's the spherical video format, but as you can see, there is a patch directly below the camera that does not show up. There's actually no lens pointing there, so there's a 60-degree cone under the Giroptic 360 cam that is not covered. This is unlike, for instance, the Ricoh Theta or I believe the Samsung or LG or Nikon offerings, which all do cover a full 360 by 180. And yes, that is 360 by 180, because if you go any further than that, you're just looking at the same stuff upside down. Some people are trying to ask for 360 by 360, but that's just the sphere twice. So, what else? The output format is, as expected, it's either, what shall we call it, 2K video, that's 2048 by 1024, in equirectangular format that is the most common format supported by the panoramic viewers for spherical panoramas, which is a nice thing. It means that you actually get this stitching done before the video compression, and don't need to have multiple layers of video compression losses. However, in the equirectangular format, you get higher and higher pixel density near the vertical poles, so to speak, zenith and nadir. And since nadir is covered by that 60-degree patch, that's a whole lot of pixels that are completely static. Hopefully that should not cost much in the video compression, but it does mean you have a seam in your image and it's a whole lot of pixels. Also, zenith around here has a ridiculous number of seams and pixels, so the actual resolution there is something crazy. You'll have 2000 pixels pointing pretty much the same direction. In effect, at the actual edge of the image, that's one single point. So we have, what is it? Since 90 degrees is half the image here, about 1024 pixels. The photo mode takes 4096 by 2048, which is a decent resolution. It's 8 megapixels. not impressive as cameras go, but the fact that you can get an HDR, it's got a reasonable HDR mode. It just takes the same picture, or takes a picture 3 times in rapid succession with 3 different exposures. So the camera actually saves 3 pictures from that, and the mobile app can blend them together, creating one of those tone-mapped false high dynamic range images. But the simple fact that you can get all those 3 exposures as separate files means you can feed that into a proper HDR program like Enfuse and get a high dynamic range picture. That means it will be more than the 8 bits of luminescence you have in the JPEG format the camera stores. And, well, for environment shots, that is a pretty critical feature. As you can see, typical environment, we have shadow, we have bright lights, we have reflections, we may have the sun in shot. In fact, it's much more likely than not that we do. If the sun is in shot, of course, that means it's also hitting the camera directly, which can be a problem. One of my earliest shots, I took a picture inside of a grocery store, really, or a smaller shopping center, if you count doesn't matter. Anyway, it's where I actually picked the camera up. DHL had a very convenient locker box in the grocery store, so all I had to do was go there and sign for it at the locker box. Quite a bit more convenient than having to actually watch the gates and make sure I receive the package whenever the driver comes by. One of the problems with these parcel services is they don't know when they will attempt delivery. So anyway, getting it there was not a big deal, not far to walk. But back to what I was saying. What I noticed in that shot, the very first picture I loaded it into the mobile app and took a look around, was firstly the different colors from the 3 different lenses. There's one that is exceptionally different. It's I believe the one lens that is opposite of the display, which would be the one pointing at me right now. It has a very different color temperature from the other 3. It's annoying, and depending on how the stitching is done, there is obviously some blending done, but I don't know if that is constant. Well, the thing is, while we could correct it by splitting along the seams and analyzing the 3 lens pictures each and matching the colors, having different colors before the video compression is a serious problem, and the seams have blended data. That means we cannot distinguish which color comes from which camera, and we will always get this weird blend in white balance, at least there. So we need to have matching white balance for the 3 cameras, and I have no idea why it isn't matching in the first place. It could be a lens issue, but back on track again. I noticed quite a lot of flaring from every single bright light in the first picture I took. And I suspect that will still be the case with any other high contrast source, like, for instance, all these clouds with their edges, and of course the sun itself, and bright reflections like you can see on the filler right now. Earlier I was at the and those are the perils of recording in public. As you can see here, that sign on the other side of the railway, while it is actually a black sign, it's very, very bright because the sun is shining on it. And that's matte. It's not a particularly reflected surface. And that's the sun itself. So high dynamic range is critical for a camera like this, and color matching as well. Now with other cameras like the Recoding series, you actually get the separate lens pictures recorded by themselves, which means, well, in both cases the projection does not match what the video codec is basing its assumptions on. So anything that's really a movement will involve things shrinking, distorting in very many ways, because the traditional video format formats are all made for flat video, that is rectilinear format. Rectilinear video is typically recorded in a rectangle and has the property that all straight lines remain straight. That alone means as you change angles, as you go to a wider angle, you get the image size becomes infinitely large. You cannot use that projection for 180 degrees, and even as you come close, it becomes untenable. That's why things like the GoPro cameras or the Theta cameras, or for that matter this 360 cam from Giroptic, they all use fisheye projection. Fisheye projection is different in that you actually have the angular resolution changing across the picture in a different pattern. I don't know the exact specs for it, and well, frequently they're not fully matched. As programs like who can calculate the lens parameters to some precision. They'll typically use radial distortion based on a third degree polynomial or something like that, which can match what the lens properties really are to a decent extent. But the Giroptic camera reprojects into different geometry, the equirectangular, which I believe the vertical resolution stays the same. That is, that the angular difference for each pixel is the same, though I'm not entirely certain about that. However, that means the horizontal one is not, because it would simply shrink towards the poles. And so I'll have a lot more in it. As for stabilization, I have ordered a video stabilizer. Obviously this video is not particularly stable. I'm just holding a selfie stick that came with the camera. There are two options for stabilization in the current firmware. The first one is vibration reduction. I don't know what that really does. It is possible, but it uses more sensor area so that it can compensate and stitch better if the camera is moving slightly. I'm not entirely certain. Ideally, all three lenses should be properly synchronized. That's the main reason to get one of these cameras in the first place, rather than just taping two GoPro clones back to back. But there's the vibration stabilization and there is the horizontal stabilization. What I believe the horizontal stabilization does is it uses the gyroscope data and simply pans the video to match the angle, the angular change for the camera. That keeps the video from spinning when the camera is spinning, as long as it's only spinning around its vertical axis. Of course, that's one single axis, and it makes sense in that it's the same axis you have the invisible cone in, and you probably will be trying to keep the camera oriented straight, but it's not perfect. For one thing, at least in the preview, it looked like using that stabilization caused the image to blur while it was spinning. That makes some sense. I mean, there will be blurring just based on the fact that you have an exposure time. But when it also has to spin, it looked less blurred when I turned the stabilization off and allowed the picture to rotate along. Now, the idea here is that if spinning the picture so that the picture is steady could save you some compression bitrate, then it would reasonably be improving sharpness. For that to work, you want to have fairly short exposure times, and you want to have the stabilization itself be steady. If the stabilization is inaccurate, then you instead get juddering video, and I haven't tested if it's doing that. Oh, by the way, the PC software is woefully incomplete as yet. Also, it has the patch replacement, the firmware update, and a shortcut for copying your files and a viewer. It doesn't even match the mobile app for features. The most important thing you can do with a desktop program is just to change the name and the password for your camera. It is, however, advertised as doing a whole lot more, including editing of photos and videos. Since those features are not in evidence, I guess it's a work in progress. And similarly, we have the mobile app. It's doing decently. Right now, I have a glitch in my cell phone where the magnetometer may report distorted data. It spins madly and randomly. When that happens, it confuses some programs, like in my map program, Osman, for viewing OpenStreetMaps. It just causes the heading of my marker to spin randomly. Of course, if I'm in a mode to map the map, and match the map with my direction, then the map is spinning randomly too. In the Giroptic app, well, it caused mad spinning of the background image. It also pointed it straight down, and it made it essentially unusable, as there was this madness flickering and spinning picture behind everything that happens. I restarted my phone, and then for a moment at least it did not have that problem, and the viewer in the app worked just fine. It is also in the mobile app that I have checked the preview video stream, including checking its audio. So Pokemon Go is another program that has serious problems with those sensor input. When it gets random data from the magnetometer, it decides that the orientation is random, which, if it has the power saving enabled, causes it to turn the display on and off randomly, continuously, and it does so at such a frequency that there is no chance to interact with the app to turn that feature off. Since in power saving mode it not only blanks out the screen, it disables all controls. All controls from that app, that is. The phone itself still responds, so it's a bit of a weird feature. It really should take a cue from fitness apps, GPS trackers and so on, that use a notification to stay alive while the display is in locked mode. Now the ridiculous thing is, this is developed by Niantic, who make Ingress, and Ingress does this right. Ingress returns onto the display fully controllable, without you having to go through the unlock screen. But to get to anything else than Ingress, you still need to unlock the phone. But Pokemon Go, which is also a Niantic product, really should do the same. But there are many more problems with that thing. I don't believe, considering the number of people here and that we had a train going the other way, the train that I am waiting for should be arriving fairly soon. And I have no idea how much battery I have left. So, the display on the camera, it's not a display, it's not a video display. It's currently indicating that I recorded for 28 minutes. And I appear to have maybe 2/3 of the battery left, which is, if accurate, a good thing. It means that it's capable of recording quite a bit longer than originally indicated. So they said 1 hour battery time. Well, on the other hand, I have the charger connected. I forgot about that. So let's turn that around. It means even with the charger connected, it cannot record indefinitely. Because if it could, then it would be charging, or at least staying steady in charge level. But it would mean that with a USB power cable, not that cable, the cable is the same, but the difference is you should connect it to a charger, not to a computer. You can actually record at least 3 hours. It's pretty decent, but Giroptic are offering 2 different alternate bases, one for Ethernet and one for could provide the capability to stream indefinitely. However, just streaming about 3 hours on one of these, it's pretty good for an event. Now, if it has a bit over half the battery left, then it should be capable of running with the USB cable disconnected for half an hour more, which would be about the recording time. That's one more question. I don't know if it has a recording time limit. That is usually done for tax or marketing reasons. That's why you see a lot of cameras, mainly digital compact cameras or system cameras that can record video, but only 10, 15, 20 minutes they will automatically stop. Battery level indicator will just drop drastically. That suggests to me that the battery time is not so impressive, and the battery indicator even less so. And now it just jumped to full. It's just fixed.
Again? Again? Again?
What I was going to say was that it suggested that the battery level indication is based on voltage. That's a straightforward way to indicate the low battery warning, but it's not very good for indicating how much time you have left. The problem is that the battery has to be quite discharged before dropping in voltage. Notably, and when it does, it drops in voltage fairly rapidly. So there is a relation, but it's not at all linear. In particular with lithium-ion batteries like the ones they use, you really don't want to discharge it a lot. There is a protection circuitry, so that means it's got a nominal voltage of 3.6, 3.7 volts or so. It actually charges up to maybe 4.3 volts. And when it goes below 3.5, you don't draw any more current from it, or you may risk damaging the battery, maybe drastically. Lithium batteries do catch on fire. And when they do, they are very, very hard to extinguish. GPS light is blinking, so one of the things I want to do when I arrive at UFS, which is where I'm going, Stockholm, is I want to take this video and see if it contains any useful GPS data. I have no idea what format they are using for the geotagging in video. According to the FAQ on the website, which is rather hard to dig through, it's split in many different sections and some sort of scripts to extract individual questions, and you can't see all the questions. Even if you use the buttons that say you're supposed to see the questions, you get unpaginated. But one of the things indicated there was that the GPS geotagging, which you can disable and enable in the camera itself, would be one of the things that is causing more power draw. Another would be that I'm using a 30 FPS mode. At 25 FPS it might consume less power because it has less stitching to do if nothing else. What they did indicate is that when geotagging is functioning, I don't working right now. It's just blinking with the GPS indicator. Then it will save a geotag once per second in video or once per picture if it's taking photos. I think in HDR mode it will just save the same tag in all pictures. In time-lapse mode it will save separate per picture. In burst mode I think it only updates once per second, but it might tag each picture. Now geotagging in the JPEG pictures, that's standard, should not be a problem to find. But geotagging a video stream, I don't know how they did it. It might be a comment field, I will have to check in the video file. I believe this saves H.264.mp4 video files with AAC audio, that's what the packaging says. At least it is one format that is directly supported by YouTube, which is one convenient way to share them. But there is more data that would be interesting to get out. I mean, if you got a spherical video viewer in the first place, then you could conceivably stabilize the video by adding an orientation track. Just report the gyroscope data for each frame, and that would get you the same gyro stabilization as you could possibly what it's doing with vibration and horizontal compensation modes. But if that could be done in the viewer, of course it would require good support, but it wouldn't be very challenging to do if you have a spherical viewer in the first place that does have a rotation. Then again you could use the raw video, not need to recompress it, and just have the viewer reorient the frame. As far as I know, it does not save orientation data, it does save GPS data. And the battery indicator is saying almost full now. For all I know, it could be that the battery had cut out and some vibration caused it to start charging again. The Wi-Fi light is also on, which also consumes some power. It is connects the cell phone, the mobile app. Right now I don't want to do that. I wonder if I can even turn it off while recording. It does not appear so. The mode button, which is used to navigate the menus, does not do anything at the moment. So the visible displays while recording are the battery indication, which is a brightly colored line, the recording time, currently 38 minutes 40 seconds, and the GPS and Wi-Fi indicators. I have Wi-Fi on currently simply because I forgot to turn it off. The interface is manageable, but fairly clumsy. You're not going to get a convenient interface with two buttons and nothing else. But, well, action cameras frequently are at that level, and at least it does have a display that it has a white matrix display that can show in time while navigating the menus. It shows what menu choice you're pointed at. It can't really provide any details, so it doesn't tell you what, for instance, the configuration menu choices CF0 and CF1 do. They're supposed to be for some sort of setting templates. Not that I know what those would be, but that's stuff in development. Overall, there's a lot of features still in development, but the hardware has some promise. By the way, it's reporting itself as hardware version 1.1 and says so in a text file stored in the file system. It uses a simple micro SD card, and Giroptic kindly sent the 16 gigabyte memory card with it of quite decent quality. It's a SanDisk which is normal, I believe. So it would be overkill for the camera, but it's good enough. That is not in retail packaging. I believe it will in general not be included with the camera. And not putting it in the package is actually a very good thing, because that's how you end up with those thousands of 4 megabyte cards or something like that came with a couple of cell phone models, and well, anyone who wanted to use the memory card interface at all would open the camera up, toss that memory card, ancient and too small, and put in their own. So buying a memory card retail at the time you get the camera or later is a much better option. Potentially there's a downside in the manufacturer could buy them in bulk, etc. But if you're not going to use that card, it doesn't matter. You don't want it. I just noticed the notches for the ring that's holding the front lens in place. Makes sense. So you have to just disassemble that if you want to. I don't want to disassemble this camera. I think if nothing else, the waterproofing maybe helps to put it back together in good shape. It's still a little bit heavy, and I'm not working before I fix it, so I can't expend just getting another one. It's a lot of movement in here, isn't it? Also, I'm keeping the camera fairly low, so you get a bit of a childish perspective, I guess, but you're still seeing across the wire. Yep, that's the prison, the Swedish prison.
Nästa, Hägernäs.
Quite even lighting, but not terribly bright. Combined with a lot of motion, I expect you're going to get a lot of blur because there's not a lot it can do about the brightness, and the lenses are very small. They are, however, further apart than I would have preferred. I think the Theta might have a serious advantage there. The Theta is thinner, and that means that there is a smaller discrepancy in its seam between lenses, and it only has one seam, whereas the Giroptic has 3 seams, 4 if you count the one to the static patch. And of course the static patch doesn't exist on the Theta. So in many ways I think you may get better material out of a Theta camera. Also Ricoh got to their 3rd generation of the Theta series before the Giroptic even shipped. That's not a good thing when you're marketing this thing as the first true 360 camera. Particularly if when you have this slogan, which you can probably read if you look down, up, down, all around. And well, it doesn't do down. So, it has weaknesses compared to other 360 cameras already in the market. There's one more expensive camera coming that will have a stereoscopic view as well, which in itself breaks down. You get the equivalent of stitching the issues.
Nästa, Vigbyholm.
If you try to look towards the Zenith and Motor with those cameras. So spherical stereo video, it's a fundamentally problematic concept. You know how the sphere cannot be mapped to a rectangle without stretching something. In the case with stereo video, that is stretching your interocular orientation, that is the distance between your eyes and what direction. That's why looking down in a stereoscopic video is a horrible idea. It's an entirely different thing if you have a video with depth maps, for instance. Then you get the problem that you don't actually have data for behind things, but the foreground objects can be accurate, and what you expect when you look down is to see the floor. You'll see the floor over there, but you have a static patch, so you can't see it in 360 camera. Not straight down anyway. But if you're looking straight down, you expect to see the floor. The floor is at a moderate distance. It's your sitting or standing distance typically. So that's one of the cues for what size you are. And that means it is prime territory for the stereoscopic distance measurement as well. That is depth perception. So the primary solution for the discrepancies is to just fade out the distance between the eyes, which places the floor at an infinite distance. Now the sky, that is fine, but for the floor, that is just broken. It means you're standing somewhere that looks kind of real if you're looking up horizontally, but as you look towards the floor, you see that it's just shrinking away from you.
Nästa, galoppfältet.
It's weird. So that's not really a solution. It's one of the workarounds to make it somewhat less weird. Because if you do nothing, if you try to retain the stereo projection, then you'll get it pointed in different directions. It'll just hurt your eyes. But technically it won't be. It will be confusing your visual center, which will hurt your brain. Now, aches in the brain are not necessarily an indication of damage. In this case, it's feedback that something isn't lining up. It's not working the way you expect it to, so you need to find some other way to look at it. You can get similar effects just wearing glasses, for instance. But since that is wrong, your brain will try to make some sort of compensation, and that will hurt your eyes because it's going to tense up and to try different things, none of which can help. Including trying different focusing will not give you
Nästa,
indication.
Täby-centrum.
You only have one left on which your display is. That is a common spherical problem for spherical flat and stereoscopic video. Now, I'm pretty sure that the 360 cam does auto exposure of some sort. I don't know if it does auto exposure individually on sensor level. If it does, that's one of the problems that will cause stitching problems.
Okay. That's good.
I've seen it take a few frames to drastically exposure between underexposed frames. With mounts. Quite common now. The pace at which it changes exposure then suggests that it might be doing it both. That's really should it should match the exposures of all three sensors just to keep the light density.
It is. It's just like, yeah.
It should also match the colors.
Yeah. Excited.
Like I said, as you can see, this version
It's exciting. It's really excited.
actually too loud for me. It's too loud for the cameras.
Nästa, Roslags Näsby.
By the retagged hospitality. I worked as a bartender. I really enjoyed that. But for some reason, that was the initial goal I started to apply for. Because I had quite a background with that. But there were so many people even interested in speaking. Yeah. Swedish wasn't even though they I applied for a job Australian although guys obviously they changed their policy of who they hire. Because that would have been an ideal job. Like this is half an hour long, and that was literally around the corner. I'm there, and it was something that I really thought just really strange. Even at like Irish pubs like the Roadie chains, you see them everywhere. Yeah, I went inside, they were severely understaffed, so I'm like, right, I see the job application. I enjoyed that. It was cool on, but
Nästa, Enebyberg.
Oh, for quite a while ago, and it's just like making sure you're touching on it in the right spot. And I thought like, why this, why that? Which one do I have to click this one again? And then you spend like 2-3 minutes looking through your notes. Oh, okay. And then by the time you do it, it's logged you out because it's taking too long. It's social media PR person concat.
That's one of the things that
Wants to get more into marketing. Absolutely. She does she's pretty accurate. She was in a tutorial video the other week. Hair. And she's like, oh no, this video has like 5,000 views on the first time. Like every day she just counts, she's like, more people have seen this. Yeah, on the actual a person within the company has to do a video. she's like, no one else wants to do it. She's like, oh, fine. Really finds interesting. That's not but in the end,
Nästa, Djursholms Ekeby.
Yep.
Nästa, Bråvallavägen.
So much.
Så kom ändå in i liksom...
I wanted to leave Australia when I was younger, but I did decide to study in Australia. But as soon as I finished my studies, I used that as a use that as a so yeah, gets exciting, and then
Men har du märkt det?
Nästa, Djursholms Ösby.
It's just how it is. Like as soon as you get a job, you want as soon as you get promoted to a position, you want to do it. Even though you've been seeking like that next level for so long, as soon as you get there, you're like, what's next? It's like anything. It does make it more difficult. But it's like, what am I going to do this time? There's more like straight cut to feed you. This year, 2023.
Jag kommer till kassan då. Alltså, så säger jag har sett allt. Absolut. Men inte
It's a lot. For an 18-year-old, you're in the traffic. Okay. Turn 25.
Nästa, Mörby.
Om man inte är arbetslös eller sådär. Men lägga ner det.
It really takes its toll in the ocean. Because you expect it. And then it's just like or wanting to enjoy yourself once or something like that. The start of immediate very hard down. I just didn't understand how and I guess now we're strain on her. So he got to a stage where it just kept feeling so bad. Like how much you want to this week? Like I know, but I still have to ask if it's just like I'm just sending out nothing. Yeah, it's never fun when you don't have anything, when you're looking for something. When you try to, you've got something and then
Nästa, universitetet.
But it's very similar to everything. So I don't know what I expect. There's still a difference between being a tourist in a country and living in SC or something, but now it's like, what are we going to have dinner in like 4 days? Let's catch up with your friends, let's do this up. You need to buy SL cards for a month again. It's not cheap. But public transport, I think, is exceptional.
Calculates numbers parameters that might do
Peak hours train run once a TC, and then there's we don't have it here. So it's just traffic, a car is hit or something. And that's maybe about half the price though. But I would rather pay double the price and knowing, okay, I can leave this train and get to work at this time and not working.
in theory, video is just
What's the population? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Melbourne's like getting close to it. Yeah, but the cities, I don't think the cities have the population is really necessary.
Nästa, Stockholms östra.
Like so what the city is actually called a city. Like it's just from here it's like, oh, this is Stockholm, this is like, I don't think there's a center part. Like Melbourne, okay, there is the central business district, but Stockholm is just Stockholm. Like Taboo is considered Stockholm. It comes under the same. Yeah, that's. Yeah. Yeah.
Precis som GC. Precis som under GC. När de kom med sina kåkar ut.
072
Nej,
50
nej.
543.
It is due to the restriction trying to keep all comes from a choice between the best codera. It's two different plagues really. This plague, codera is cholera, which causes dehydration thusly. It's generally called since the lenses are not actually at the same place. You will have your parallax at the very same thing. Where things are far away. So this is probably the longest video I've ever recorded, which I guess in a way makes sense because this is the first time I've ever had a primary video camera. That doesn't really use this camera for video, but being that it has, for instance, no display, it does take video, it does stream. Its one advantage over competition, well, it's got two advantages. It's waterproof and it's live stitching. But one of those two advantages is, well, potentially there is a third advantage it has over the... That's longer than expected. Should I walk? Might as well. At least some ways. The third potential advantage of the Giroptic 360 camera, besides so we have its waterproof, which means you can actually record it underwater. It's live stitching, which means you could use it for streaming events and such, making it potentially interesting in professional use, because it's compact, it's cheap, it's going to fit in the same sort of niche for spherical video, or surround video some call it. A lot of people, well, some people use the phrase VR video, which is the rather sad type of phrase movie video. I've seen decent VR video. It's mostly based on live feed data. It tends to look grainy, and in this case I don't mean noisy, as in a grainy picture. I mean it can look like everything is made up of grains. It's probably built for some sort of light field reconstruction, probably intermediate storage that is perhaps voxel based. But the neat thing about it is it's an actual recording where you can watch it from a changing in real-time perspective. Now there are very few companies that can do that right now. And there's absolutely nothing in the consumer market, which makes some sense. I mean, we're talking things that record gigabytes per minute. But I've seen it in a couple of demos on the Vive, and it's quite impressive. So it will come, but it's miles from what spherical video can do. So nope, this is not what I would call VR radio. However, this may well be a component of a VR environment. In particular, like I said, I do photogrammetric reconstruction based on any video, as well as you're actually looking at the camera. This would be one of those. I've seen people do demonstrations of just grabbing a random video off the internet and running it through photogrammetry tools and reconstructing things like statues and such. Of course, it works best when you have had the camera fly around the object from all angles. But with a perspective like this, you're not getting all the angles of that car, but you are getting a lot of them, because I just walked past it. It's only the side pointing towards the street that you don't get. Of course, there's optical distortion in it. It has windows and so on, reflections and lensing, that sort of thing. Terribly hard photogrammetric software currently, but in theory it could eventually be solved. And what you do get is you have some sort of impression in every direction from the camera, at least every direction that is supported. There is a static patch. Not that it really matters, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, the next stop for that bus is where I would have switched to another bus anyway. So of course, like I said earlier, high dynamic range would be really good. The resolution of this so-called full HD actual 2K by 1K video for covering an entire sphere is very unimpressive. In particular, when you is taking up maybe what would it be? Ideally, if we assume that it's actually a 30-degree radius. Yeah, that's an odd expression, but it does make some sort of sense. That would be 1/3 of 1/2 of the image. I think it's taking up a lot more than that. So that's still 1/6 of the entire video frame. Just gone. That's really enormous. this is a very heavy battery pack. It's not very heavy, it's just one of these things. But it's heavy when you try to compare it to a camera, for instance, or a camera like this. That might be but it's certainly going to be steadier for a much simpler reason. The USB cord between the camera and the battery pack was slightly too short for me. Worse, the battery pack was in a leg bolt. That meant it would just tug the camera to every single step. Anyway, having a weight in my hand that's centered about half my hand should to some degree stabilize it. It will make the weight of the camera be less dominant because the camera has a longer lever than the selfie stick. On the other hand, it's actually the camera's inertia that's most significant here, because that's the thing I want to keep steady. I have ordered a handheld camera stabilizer, which would make a huge difference, but which also has some downsides, because it's designed to be held in one hand. Now, that would typically be a good thing in many ways, but in this case, that means my hand will be very close to my camera and in view. Because for a spherical camera, in view is pretty much everything. Anything that is not covered by something else. So that can look quite strange. I'm sure you've seen a few recoding videos where you see the hand that's actually holding the device. The device, the recoding, it does see its own body, but due to the lens choices it makes for things that are further away, things that are down another, it cuts away most of its body, so it doesn't look the size that it actually is, which also means it's cutting away bits in the seams if they are too close, like your hand is if you're holding it. That means you have stitched together kind of merged, flattened hand, and it's in view and it's dominating the view because it's so close, so it's large. As large as angles go, which in spherical videos, for one thing, does matter. So, in some sense, just a short 3D perception. that stop would be the ideal one to switch. I'm going up to Kungsholmen, which is a distance west from here. Train stop arrives at this station. East station. Roughly south southeast of this major road, Vägen, which is on the evening which is impressive in its own right, because conceptually we only have two audio sensors. I don't know
Drottninggatan.
Also, connected to USB. The camera itself is inoperable. It's just displaying USB. It's just to provide USB video camera. This is not webcam. Was Giroptic like Giroptic or set up effects? Who knows? But it's not subject to systems of not really blinding lights.
Hötorget. Stå klar. Skedegatan.
Yeah, that's an archaic unit of my plant. No, that here is filled with our it's one lower arm including the handle. So almost made. That's what counts.
Sankt Eriks ögonsjukhus.
It does not sting itself in the trunk. That's the basic mechanism of the Steadicam. Like I said, I have one mod already. They're not starter, it's blue actually. It's the solid blue for the ultra blue. And I ordered the ultra blue form of that one, which is of course is the one model that will take the longest before they have it ready. They are actually ready with the solid blue, which is the passive mechanical stabilizer, the important bit. And they have the hardener, so the model is ready for lightweight action cameras like the GoPros. And I have about 10 tripods. I guess this is as good a place as any to stop the video.